Hi everyone, my name is Miranda and I live in Spain with my husband and 2 daughters. And in this short talk, I'm going to be talking about change. Now, I don't know if you get a kick out of change or if you don't like it. I quite like change, and I work with lots of people who have different degrees of comfort with the idea of change. Primarily, I work with people in 2 areas. That is in the area of making change to their spiritual practices, so finding ways to open themselves to God in their daily lives, and then making change in the area of physical habits, so how to make movement and good nutrition part of daily life too. Now, it's that time of year when many of us are thinking about change. The good old New Year's resolutions have loomed again, and maybe it's a habit for you to make a New Year's resolution, and maybe not. But the New Year gives us a great sense of a new beginning, doesn't it? This is the time that I can make a change and I can stick to it. And there is something really special about the beginning of a new year and imagining how we want that year to be. And just to let you into a little secret, making changes around the new year is just the same as making changes at any time. And so there are a few keys that we can learn in order to stick to our goals or our resolutions. And these keys relate to the why, what, when, how, and with whom of your goal setting. So let's talk about the why. Now, it could be that you're thinking of making a change for the new year, making a New Year resolution by setting some kind of goal for yourself. And there's many reasons you could be thinking of doing that. Maybe because you think you should. Maybe because your mother thinks you should, or your fill in the blank thinks you should. Maybe because your best friend is doing it. Maybe because you read about it on Instagram. There's many reasons to make a change. One of my favourite quotes goes something like, "Change doesn't happen until the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of change." And what this gets to is that change is uncomfortable, and we have to be in touch with our need for the change. It's got to matter to us more than our natural desire, our very normal desire to be comfortable or to stick with the familiar. So a good question to ask yourself is this something that God is inviting me to in this season? And we'll come back to this sense of God's invitation. But the crucial thing is, know your why. Have a really good reason for making the change that is in your resolution or your goal. Know your why. Secondly, you've got to make the right kind of change. So what is the change you're going to make? What is the resolution you're setting for yourself? It's got to fit in with who you are. Now, there's no good deciding that your New Year's resolution is going to be to cycle 10 kilometres every day if you don't know how to ride a bike or you're afraid of cycling. It's got to be something that fits you, that suits you. Next, it's got to be something that's appropriate to the outcome that you want. Is this particular goal going to get you to where you want to go? So it's got to be appropriate. Is it a goal that can be broken down into small steps? Is it a big goal that you just have no idea how you're going to get there? Or is it a big goal that can be broken down into clear daily steps that you can take much more easily? So this goal, this resolution of yours, needs to be something you can break down into easy steps, and it's got to be sustainable. It's got to be something that you can keep doing when the initial motivation wears off, which it will, because that's what happens, isn't it? So we've got our why, we've got our what, and then the next key is when. So this goal has got to be worked out in your real life. You've got to be real about what your real life is like. And small, consistent steps are the key. It's far better, in my experience, to have a smaller step that I can make consistently than it is to have a big chunk of a goal that I'm only doing sporadically because it's such a big thing. So small steps made consistently. Now, you are what you consistently do. You are not what you sporadically do. You're not what you do occasionally. You're not what you do once in a blue moon. You are what you consistently do. So what is something that you can consistently do? And this doing of the thing consistently is important because when we create a new habit, we're rewiring, got my mouth stuck around that one, rewiring our brains to a new kind of normal. And we have to train our brains. This is my new normal. This is my habit. So a good way to do that is to schedule it, program yourself to recognize the signals. Oh, this is my time when I'm going to do that new thing, that new habit. So you could set an alarm for the same time every day. You could add a practice to a meal time or to some other thing that's already a predictable part of your schedule. For example, you could decide that you're going to journal, have a time of journaling, a time of prayerful reflection before you go to sleep. So if you make time for this goal and you make this a predictable part of your life, it's much more likely that you're going to stick with it. Which brings us on to the how. There are some keys to making this doable. How are you going to do this? How are you going to make this goal a part of your life? Well, you need to make a plan, first of all, or you need to find a tried and tested plan and make it your own. So find a way to break up this goal into some predictable steps and make yourself a plan. Now, if I were you, I would check off the days. Every day that I do this new thing, at least initially, in the first 2-3 months, I want to check it off. I want to even give myself rewards, honestly. You know, I want to, every so often, I want to give myself a good pat on the back and say, well done, you've been sticking at your goal. I am not above having a reward chart on my fridge, honestly. You could also try that. Build in times to check in on yourself. So this goal that you have set is for your sake. So is it achieving the purpose for which you're doing it? Just have a check-in. Maybe there's some adjustments that need to be made. So if you need to change something in order to keep going, don't be afraid of making those adjustments. That's how you're going to keep moving forward. And I think it's good to have this time of check-in just to reflect, how am I growing through this experience? The point of having a resolution or a goal is not just to give yourself something extra to do. It's, I'm assuming, part of the sort of growth that you want to see in your life. So have some time to reflect, how am I growing through this new way of living my life? Which brings us on to the with whom. Who are you going to invite into this process with you? We all grow in the context of relationships. We don't tend to do well when we just try to do things on our own. So the easiest way to bring people into this process is to tell someone that you've made this resolution, you're setting this goal, and invite them into your process to support you. Maybe they want to check in on you every so often. Maybe you just want to know that they're there kind of cheering for you. You could take it a step further. You could team up with others. And when your motivation is low, they'll keep you going. So it could be that you join a group that's doing the thing that you want to be doing. It could be that you have to create a group, or you invite a few friends to join you. You are much more likely to succeed in your goal, to keep going with your resolution when you include other people. Which brings me on to my final point, which is you have a friend who's been given to you as a helper for just these kinds of moments in your journey of growth, and that is the Spirit of God, who is given to us to empower us to do the things that we can't do on our own. So this is why it really helps to have a sense that God is inviting you to make a particular change from the beginning. And then at different points along the journey, you might want to just check in and ask, what is the kind of help that I need in order to keep moving forward with this change? Ask God for that help. Now, perhaps it seems to you that the particular resolution or goal that you've set is outside of God's area of interest in your life. And that could be something that's worth thinking about and reflecting on. Why is it that you think that God is not interested in this particular thing? But in any case, my hope is that we could see New Year's resolutions in a completely different way, so that rather than being this sort of slightly stale idea of goals that we set with an initial amount of enthusiasm and then the enthusiasm wanes, that it could become an opportunity to make space for God in a particular area of our lives. It could be that the key is not finding some hidden ability within ourselves to finally keep up with the resolution that we've never managed to sustain before, but rather that in learning to invite God into this change, we find resources that are beyond ourselves, and we experience this new year, these new goals, in partnership with the Spirit of God. That's my hope for all of us, and I would love to hear how you get on. So don't be afraid to drop comments into the ELLC. We'd love to hear that.